Cheers, guys. So to kind of back that up, do take pictures of the slides, by all means. Please don't take pictures of my face. It's an old family tradition that whenever we're going hunting, we draw out that which we're hunting or take a picture of it. And so it like hurts my soul whenever I see that. You're doing me a courtesy. One thing you could do if you want is go online and find a favorite speaker that you like that's not well known and do a live tweet or what have you and say, hey, Tinker's doing really great or whatever. Just lie about that. Say he's doing really good and put a picture of that other person and then tag me in it. You know, that sounds good. All right. We hide our truths and we shout our lies. So today we're going to be talking about transitive trust. You know, I think a lot of us have a good background. If this gets really loud, well, a lot of us have a really good background in lying and cheating, right? And a lot of what you hear is the entire process. But I want to get that real narrow kind of concept and talk about how it's going to be applied. So we'll talk about transitive trust, not the Active Directory transitive trust, the actual psychological. We got some nerds, okay. All right, so who am I? I'm Tinker. You can find me on Twitter at TinkerSec and on the Fediverse. My God. You can find me on the Fediverse on Jerry Bell's Mastodon server at Tinker at InfoSec Exchange. So I am a hacker. I con a little bit, and you know, I'll burgle, steal, and what have you. Occasionally I get good gigs where they pay me to do it on purpose, and I tell them how I did it so that they can fix it. But sometimes you just need to make a buck. So I've done teams, created teams, built up teams, trained teams, and led teams. So that's kind of it. I got a background in the Marine Corps. A lot of the breaching techniques that we learned in the Marine Corps, they don't apply in the corporate world. I once took an AT-4, which is an anti-tank rocket launcher, and knocked a freaking hole in the side of a data center wall. I'm like, that's a finding. They're like, out of scope, out of scope. I'm like, this is my scope. It's my ACOG battle site. And they're like, no, that's not. Didn't fly. All right. So real quick, what is the concept of transitive trust? I'm not going to go into the full psychological background. I'm not going to tell you why humans think like this. I'm just going to say it exists, and then we're going to learn how to use it. This is not a theory talk. This is a praxis talk. At the very end, I've got some white papers, psychological stuff, if you really want to nerd out, by all means. Just like anything in hacking, anything in technology, anything in art, learn how to do the concept high level, and then get your feel for it right. You're learning a new language. Learn how to say, where's the restroom? Learn how to say, my name is. Learn how to say, please don't shoot. I'm not armed, right? You don't have to learn grammar right away. So let's get the concept, and then afterwards learn the theory, so you can know how to do this, but also branch out and create your own kind of stuff. We learn cons, so we can do the cons, but we learn what makes the cons work, so we can create new ones ourselves. So the concept itself, really close. It's basically Alice trusts Bob, and if Bob trusts Charlie, Alice, because she trusts Bob, can probably trust Charlie. It's just that. It's you know, friend of my friend is my friend kind of thing. That's all that we're talking about. A trusts B, B trusts C, therefore A trusts C. I think that's a picture of polyamory, but it was as close as I could get. Okay, so we're going to start off. I'm going to tell you a story. I like telling stories. It puts everything into context, right? Anybody see that story that I put out this morning on Twitter? Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I put a story on Twitter, left it on a really cool cliffhanger. So you guys are going to get well, you can ruin the spoiler. It's okay. I don't mind whatsoever. I'm going to tell a story of when I broke into a building using nothing but this technique. I usually use this technique frequently. This was the one time that I used nothing but this technique. So I thought it'd make a really good talk. I didn't use badge cloning. I didn't use lock picks. I didn't use any sort of physical breaking or entering or anything along those lines. I solely use this concept and basically hop from one to another. Who here knows a lot of computer hacking or network hacking or anything like that? A couple. There's a concept of pivoting and privilege escalation. The idea is sometimes, you know, if I need the money, I go pull out a gun. Hypothetically, you could pull out a gun and say, give me money, and you get money. That's easy. There's nothing wrong with that. You go straight to the point. Sometimes you have to kind of work your way to it, okay? Social engineering, you need to build rapport, and we'll go from there. So we're all outside. This happened, but put yourself in my shoes. We're all outside, and we want to break into a company. First thing you're going to do is recon. So I went on to Google Street Maps, walked around virtually. You get some really overactive folks right now that they'll drive in the back and show you all the back doors. It's really awesome. Some go in the parking lot. You're like, I can see that guy's badge. There's 360 view, which is really great. Marketing folks really like taking pictures of the internal space. And so this is a still shot of a 360 VR simulation. You can put on a VR and do it. It's really great. Or you can move it around in your browser. At that point, I can literally see the security camera in the upper right. There's a security camera just above the security guard who's distracted right now. I'm not there. That's not my picture. That's Google, right? And so you can go in there and scope an entire place, case a joint entirely before you even arrive on session. Without going there, I've been in a situation once where I didn't know there was a lobby, for instance. So I walked in thinking it was going to be a lobby, and there was a man trap right there. I'm like, I'm in the wrong place. And they're like, get out. I'm like, okay. And so knowing this will help me prepare how I'm going to do it. So where we're at, we're going into a place that has it's a shared space, okay? So the company shares it with a lot of other folks. They have the 7th, 8th, and 12th floors. And I need to kind of get in there and get network access, right? So coming in off the streets, I don't know anybody. I got to decide how I'm going to do it. Some pretexts are good. If you can plan, by all means. Sometimes just have it in the back of your mind, play it by ear. I tend to play it by ear, just because I'm not really good at remembering things. So coming in, I looked around, and the first thing I saw on the floor was that there was a lot of construction going on. I go, okay, construction. Let's play off that. Go back to my car, get rid of my button-up shirt, get rid of my polo. Think about the high-vis vest, but decided against it because I don't want to be a laborer. Sometimes you want to be a laborer. Laborers get ignored all the time, right? This time I want a little bit of authority, so I get my Dickies tan shirt. That's a supervisor outfit right there. Nice and pressed in case I need to do real work, but I'm never doing real work. I did that 5 years ago. I get paid, a lot more now to do real work, or good work. Anyway, so I go in just like that. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to look like that. I walk past the guard. He smiles at me because it's a shared space, and I go to the elevator. A lot of the access control is at the floor itself, right? So I get out on the first floor, and I look around, and there's nobody on the floor. Like, I can see through the glass. Everything's turned off. There are desks there. Whatever was going on, they were doing a remodel or something. I go, okay, well, let's open up some doors, see if I can. All of them were locked, and in that small space, I saw a security camera. Okay, I can get along doing this, peering in, pulling out my phone, and then leaving. That's fine. It's not suspicious. But I'm not going to stay too long. A lot of times when you're going things, don't get stuck on any one thing. A lot of things, yeah, they can be hacked, but it's going to take 2 weeks. We need to be paid today, right? Let's get the money right now. And so this is all hypothetical for pen tests. Yeah, we're testing BICs. That's right. So don't do this illegally or some such, or don't get caught. I don't know. So I'm like, I like finding the easy way in. Don't craft the 0 day when you got default creds, right? Don't clone a badge when the window's open right there. Just hop through. So I went off and I went up to the 8th floor, and the 8th floor had some of my target kind of behind doors, kind of like this. I couldn't see in, but I want to come over here and actually pay attention. There's cool. And some of it was a non-target. It was other folks. Sometimes you can break into one place and pivot into another one, right? You want to hack into Target, you go through an HVAC company that has a VPN. That's cool. These guys have like a steel front. You can't break it in. But the hot dog store next door, you can actually just break through their drywall. There's nothing wrong with that. But right now, I'm just kind of jimmying doors. It's just kind of opening it, see what opens. And nothing's working. It's all locked. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do a round. There aren't any security cameras here. They're inside. I go around. I'm like, well, I'm not really finding anything. Maybe I'll go up on the 12th floor. Again, I'm just scanning everything. Right when I get done jiggling a door, I hear a voice on the other end. I go, oh, fuck. And I hear, yeah, I'll be right back. And hear the door jiggle. I'm like, fuck it, I'm out. Right? And I make a beeline of, I don't know where, but not there. And the first door I go into is a restroom. I didn't look at the sign. I got lucky. It was a men's restroom. So I'm like, whoo, all right. And no one was in there, right? So I'm sitting here, and I'm breathing heavy. I'm I'm not a very confident person. And so I'm freaking out over here. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, I got out of there. I'm sitting here, like the urinal's right there, stall's right there. The sinks are behind me. A wonderful kind of sweet smell of urine, You're like, oh, that's a smell of love right there. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm sitting here, I'm trying to calm down. I'm like, okay, just going to wait a little bit and walk out. It's fine. And as soon as I'm like, all right, fine, the door opens up, and that person that I just run away from, enter the door. Naturally, he's using the restroom, and I went to the one place where he's making a beeline to. He catches me flat-footed. I don't have a pretext. I'm like this, in the middle of, I should have been at a urinal going, oh, this is great. I'm over there like, I'm just hanging out in the restroom, like this is a cool place to be. He comes right in and goes, the fuck? And it wasn't that he was suspicious, I was in his way. And he's like, and I'm like, I panicked. I just looked up. I can look down or I can look up, that's about it. And I saw the sprinklers. I'm like, I'm a sprinkler investigator. I'm a sprinkler investigator, yeah. I didn't realize I made a double entendre that he's coming in here to use his sprinkler, and I'm talking about investigating. That was a bad idea. And he just went, and walked past him like, oh, Jesus. So he's over here like taking care of himself, and I got nothing to do but look at a sprinkler. So I'm like, that's a sprinkler. And he starts coming out, and I'm like, okay, well, I pull out my phone and take a picture of the sprinkler, because I don't know what they do. I didn't research sprinkler investigation prior to this. I imagine somebody looks at it, right? Everything has an auditor. And, I make a joke. I think I made the double entendre. I'm like, sprinkle, never mind. And he's like, yeah, that's funny, and leaves, okay. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, hold on. Let's use this. I walk out and follow close. Maybe I can tailgate. I don't know what's on the other end. He opens to a small little office, shuts the door. I immediately go up and knock on it. I know he's right there. He turns around and looks at me like, the fuck, sprinkler investigator? And I'm like, as you know, I'm a sprinkler investigator. I didn't say that. I was just like, hey, we're doing construction downstairs, because I remembered that. We just pressurized the water. I played it cool. I was like, we got construction downstairs. We just pressurized the water. We're going through to make sure there's no leaks in all the sprinklers. Just cleared out this other area. Talked to some of your neighbors over here. Can you walk me through? I just need to look at all the sprinklers real quick. And when I did that, I kind of moved in a little bit, moved into his personal space. He naturally took a step back. Folks like Snow, Whitney, they're subtle. They're graceful. Their social engineering is like a slip pickpocket. I came from the Marine Corps School of Social Engineering, which has stormed the beach and, peace through superior firepower. I've been told that my social engineering, my con artistry, is more intimidation-based. And I don't mean to, but I'm like, I need your freaking credit cards. Can I see it? I like passwords. Just write it down. It's not good, but sometimes it works. Now, for truth, you don't really want to do that because it can make an imprint, and you want them to forget you afterwards. But even subtly, I can just kind of do this and get in your space. This guy's taller than me. He would kick my ass. I can size him up right now. You do jujitsu. Don't answer that. It's all right. But I like your quads. So even in that sense, though, even if someone comes to me, I'm going to take a step back. He did that. I walked in. Everybody else saw me. Can you walk me through? He goes, yeah, sure, why not? It's about late in the day, 3:30 or so. Okay, so he goes, yes, by all means, come in with me. Shit, we breached. We're in. I don't have any access, right? But I'm inside. Don't just go for the target. You got time, okay? Take your time. Gauge the situation. Run when you're getting shot at. But right now, we're not getting shot, so it's fine. So I'm in. We call this guest access. I had no access before. Now I have guest access. Great. At this point, I got a guy with me, and he's following policy and procedure and walking through with me. He doesn't let me go, right? And that's good, okay? Every single person that you're going to find here did their job specifically. Watching the handoff, though. So he walks me through, and I'm going, and I'm like, well, that's a sprinkler. What do sprinkler investigators do? Discoloration, yeah, because I don't know, water discolors, that sounds right. So I walk through and go, yeah, that's a sprinkler doing whatever, and I go, hey, discoloration, you see that right there? We're going to replace it. I take out my camera, take a picture of it as if I'm going to document it. I bring it down like I'm looking at the camera. I start taking pictures around me while I'm looking at the previous one. They had passwords on the whiteboard. They had the internal office Wi-Fi password. I can, at this moment, leave and go in the parking lot, stick a Yagi at it, and breach through the network. But I don't know what sort of controls they have on that, and I'm here, so let's just find out what more we can do, right? And so I'm going through, they got really nice Jira and Visio diagrams and network layouts, and I'm like, okay, we're doing this. You go into marketing, it starts talking about their vendors, I'm like just getting all this information. At this point, it's almost active recon, right? I could leave and come back again if I wanted to. But we go through the whole thing, and I'm talking it up about these sprinklers like I know what I'm talking about, but I didn't. But here's the cool thing. He didn't know anything about sprinklers either. So how would he know if I was bullshitting, right? I know enough. I'm using logical things, I'm pulling too much out of my ass. But he's like, oh, I don't know anything about sprinklers. I'm in IT. I'm like, oh, well, tell me about IT. I use my hands. My cousin's in IT. He's a smarter one, right? You know? And he starts talking a little bit about IT. I don't really care about getting information out of him at this point. I just want him to feel comfortable about me being there. If I don't know about IT, maybe he'll let me touch an IT device. I don't know. So we go around, and about this time, and this is probably like an hour or two, you know? He's getting tired. It's getting to be about the end of his day, and he's, you know, he's thinking about other things. He knows at this point I haven't done two things. I haven't stolen anything, and I haven't punched anybody in the throat. Now, that's a lot for me. I feel like I've built rapport, okay? So, but he's fine. It's okay. I've done what I did. I took pictures of sprinklers. Cool. So I go, hey, I need to write a report, because I guess auditors do that. And I'm like, do you have like a desk that I can sit at or a conference room, somewhere I can just sit down, I've got a laptop here, and I can do that? He goes, yeah, absolutely. He takes me to another room where there's nobody there because people had started going home at this point. And he sat me down in the cubicle and said, hey, thanks, and he left. Well, now I've got a computer, and I had some other computers around me, and I got a network jack. Shit, let's get in, right? So I plug in, and I go right into the Ethernet jack. And around the frickin' corner, I shit ye not, his supervisor, I'd seen him before, his supervisor comes barreling around at me. He goes, you're not supposed to be here. And I'm like, oh shit, this is where I get tased. I'm like, oh, does IT carry, do you guys carry tasers? That's natural, right? Well, he's like, oh, sometimes for personal pleasure. So he comes around, and he's like, you're not supposed to be here. And I'm like, I am supposed to be here. And he's like, where's your badge, right? So he does so I'll stop joking. But he goes, you're not supposed to be here. I go, are you this company, and are you on these floors? Because I had seen the placard downstairs. And he goes, yeah. I go, well, then I'm supposed to be here. He goes, well, where's your badge? And I go, do I need a badge? He goes, yeah, it's a security. You need a badge. I go, why am I here without a badge? If I need a badge, I need to follow your policy and procedure so I can look at these sprinklers. I'll do anything you want me to do. If I need a badge, get me a badge. He goes, oh, okay. Calls over another person, and listen to what he says. He goes, go downstairs to security and get him a badge. This guy goes, okay, and takes me downstairs to get a badge. When he gets me down there, he goes, who are you? I make up a name. He goes, sign here. I scribble it. And he goes, what's your company? And I'm in Texas, so I'm like, I don't know, Texas Sprinklers? There's like 10 in Dallas alone with that name, because we're not too bright. So I wrote that down, and he goes, good, and gives me a badge. He did not validate, and he did not verify. And I don't even really want to blame him, because he wasn't, the authority. His boss, his supervisor, did not say, go make sure he's not lying to us. He didn't say, go and validate his claims. He said, go get him a badge. The guy got me a badge, right? Now, the person who barreled down and challenged me, he didn't do anything wrong. He did the right thing. He challenged me, and then it didn't work. And then he knows, okay, everybody needs to have a badge. He didn't know that you had to validate a badge. He just was told the policy and procedures, people need badges. Go get a badge, and then that's now good for him. The guy who got told, go get him a badge, he's like, the supervisor told me to get him a badge. I got him a badge. Each individual person did the right thing so far as what they knew. It was in the handoff. When we do pen tests, we look at one individual little thing. Red teams or larger scope pen tests look at everything else. So it's a difference if you're a developer. It's a difference between a unit test and an integration test, right? Okay, cool. Well, at this point, I have a badge. I've gone from guest access to user access. I'm allowed to be there now. I can go back to where I was and sit down and keep doing what I was doing. But I was like, hey, I got you here. Can I have you walk me around those other rooms as well? And he did. We proceeded to go through the 7th floor and even on up to the 12th floor where all the CEOs were and whatnot. It was really great. At this point, I've laid out everything. I know where everything is. And it's also about 6:37. This guy's like, I'm 30 minutes late. I need to go home. And at that point, when he's kind of getting fidgety, like, how long is this going to take? I go, y'all have a server room, don't you? Now, I don't know anything about computers, but there are special sprinklers in there, aren't there? And he's like, that sounds right. Now, I don't know, but the idea of spraying water on computers seems bad. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's a foam system or something. Apparently, some places have the halon systems where it'll suck out oxygen and kill the system's administrator, but the computers are fine? Shit, yeah. You know where you stand on the corporate architecture list right there. My asset awareness is my ass is not aware. All right. So he goes, okay, that's fine. I don't have authorization to get in there. Let me go get you authorization. He takes me down to the security guard, same one that wing deck coming in, and goes to the security guard and says, hey, this guy needs to get into the security room. Again, listen to what he said. This guy needs to get into the security room. Can you escort him in there? The security guard has a lawful, valid order, amounts to, it's not order in the corporate world, but a request, which means do it or you get fired, by one of her customers, by her client. The security guard did nothing wrong here, very specifically. They said, go walk him in there. Cool. They went and walked me in there, and this person went away and said goodbye. I go, okay, cool. So now I'm walking with the security guard. The security guard's opening doors for me, and they go up to a server room and do biometric multi-factor authentication with a palm print and a pin pad. I ain't hacking this shit, all right? There's a freaking heavy door on there, and I don't got a blowtorch. And so they go, hold on, puts down the palm print, types it in, and lets me into the door. And they said, how long are you going to take? I said, oh, I don't know, probably about 15 minutes. I'm here to upgrade the servers. The person who handed me off did not tell the security guard what I was supposed to do. Just said, get him in the security room. There was no handoff, right? There's no transition. You got to kind of be careful, and we'll talk about this in a bit, but I told a different lie, because why not? And she goes, okay, at this point, I don't care about sprinklers. I care about that Windows 2012 server right in front of me. And I do a lot of things when I find physical access with servers. All right, some of you are giggling. Don't tell anybody. Turned out that the terminal was open and unlocked. That's actually not that big of a deal. Sysadmins do this all the time because they got a multi-factor palm print on the door. Who's getting in? That's mitigating. I mean, yeah, lock your computer, but at this point, the door's locked, you know? If you're out in public, then don't necessarily do it, but now the door's locked. So she goes, the security guard sits down and watches me and then gets back on her phone. She's like, as long as this guy doesn't steal anything and, you know, torch stuff, he can do whatever. He needs to update the servers, it's fine. I go over there and I plug in a rubber ducky, pop a shell, and I have complete access to the domain controller. Well, that's cool. This is a picture of looking at sprinklers. That's all that is, right? So when they let me in, I went from user access to root access. That is a picture right there. Those of you on, they're not recording me right now. They're recording the slides. I've since gained a lot of weight since then. But that's the security guard walking me in, and that is the server room. You can't see the terminal. It's around on the other corner. But those are actual pictures. The cool thing about security cameras, just as an aside, it is very rare that there's someone staring at security cameras, okay? In this sense, even if someone had, they'd see me escorted by security. I'm not sneaking around. I'm going right at it, right? Now, I blocked off my face right there. Whenever you appear, you know, you can hide your face and it looks suspicious. We call that wartime preparation. You're expecting to get caught, and you want to make sure that when you get caught, you don't get detected. That's smash and grabs, robbing places, what have you. They're going to know something happened, and you want to make sure they can't find you. If you're doing something a little bit more slick, you go in looking like this, they're going to be suspicious, so you have to show your face, right? But if you show your face, it's on a camera, especially if it's like a really good, like, you know, 4K, and they're zooming in on the pores of your nose and some shit like that. They're really going to know. Cool thing, though, is two things. One, those recordings aren't there for very long. They're there for about a week, depending. The storage is still kind of expensive, especially for video, right? So if you can just lay low, do what you got to do, and lay low for 2 weeks, a month, if you want to play it safe, they have no records of you being there, even if they're covered in security camera. The more I think high fidelity, the more pixels they have, if they can see your freaking pores, that's more storage that they have less of to use, okay? It's a give and take. You gotta make a determination. I worked for a company once that they had their car stolen. We had security footage of the thieves coming up and jacking the car and driving off. The security footage was heavily pixelated, and we were able to get to it within 2 weeks, and it gave us nothing. We're like, yep, it happened. Now, that's okay for insurance. I can prove to insurance that I had it, I can get money, but I'm never going to catch them, because businesses don't really care about catching criminals. They care about getting money and staying afloat and all that kind of stuff. So think about that kind of stuff. So here I am. I let my face get seen, but they couldn't detect me. It still happened. I went and told them afterwards I did it, and they went and got this footage just to show it, right, as part of the report. But that would not have gotten me caught. Okay. So that's the entire story. Let's go through and look at some of the key points. I'm going to talk about attacker side. I'm going to talk about defense side. Okay. So attackers, the really biggest thing is you don't need immediate access to the goal, right? Have that in mind. What do you want to do with it? With me, it was just general network access. And I kind of got that with a Wi-Fi password, honestly. And then I definitely got that being able to plug in directly. And oh my God, I just went ape and took a target of opportunity and went for the domain controller because it was lying in front of me. And you know, gear drift is a gift. But have your kind of goals in mind and get to it. It's kind of like if you're trying to get into penetration testing and social engineering professionally, coming in out of high school and going straight into it, that might be hard. If you can do it, by all means. Sometimes you got to get into IT, and then you got to get into blue team, and then you got to get into red team, and you keep getting closer. I mean, this is just life. You don't necessarily shoot towards the goal. You hit somewhere else and you guide it in. It's the same thing in a con. The other one is play off trust. All right. Each time they handed me off, they followed policy and procedure almost to the T. But in the handoff, they kept missing things. And because one person established trust, another person had a little bit of trust, another person had a little bit of trust. Even the supervisor that came barreling around said, you're not supposed to be there. He let me buy it first. He saw I was there. And I had been hanging out with his subordinate. His subordinate's like, I don't know, but he seems cool or whatever, right? And there was at least a latent amount. So when I'm sitting here telling him I'm supposed to be here, there's already a foundation of trust to go against that. So play off of trust. All right, big thing is initial access. It's hard coming from nobody to nobody, right? You know, we just listened to Whitney go through. I mean, you're like going straight to it. I'm like, that is skill. I gotta smooth and take my time with somebody. You know, I've been conned. It was my former marriage, and she spent 7 years on me. You know, it was great. She took her time. That's a horrible job. She's a wonderful person. It just didn't work out. My pain, my heart, my heart. So get a little bit. You just need a foothold at first and then play around a little bit. You don't have to go straight to it. The biggest thing initially is just be seen with an authorized person. You know, Jason Street likes to go straight in and then hang out by the manager's door. That's being seen by an authorized person or with an authorized person. He plays off of that. He's doing latent transitive trust in this. With mine, I went to a person and said, hey, can I hang out with you or whatever. There's nothing wrong. If someone's there, you know, and they seem like important, you can hang out with them and talk about their phone. They'll show them your phone. You're like, cool. Oh, wait, no, I'm with him, and you move on, right? So just get a little bit of trust and play off of it. The big thing is pivoting and priv-esque. Once you've gotten initial access, wait them out. Take your time. Find out what's uncomfortable. Used car salesmen really like doing this. You get there at like 5:30, they'll keep you until 9 or 10 o'clock. You're like, I need to go home. Here's all my money, right? I flipped it around once on a car salesman. I went in at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday when everybody's coming in. I brought my 5-year-old kid and gave him all the Coca-Cola and frickin' sugars. And I said to my partner, I was like, let him go. I got him, I was like, hey buddy, what's going on? Yeah, we're doing this. He's like, yes. And I just let him go. Started spinning. He got really, really loud and was a frickin' nuisance. I'm sitting here with this guy. I'm like, you know, hey, let's go through this. Show me a little bit more. Like, why don't you go and check with your manager 5 more times? I got all the time in the day, buddy. Let's do this. And at some point, all of his coworkers are like, get them out of here. We can't make a sale, you know? And so he's like, look, just take the car for free. And I'm like, it's mine now. So play off of that, all right? One interesting thing, you know, as you're going, ask for things. It's just simple. Sometimes you say, hey, what's your password? That's happened before. I'm not that slick, but still. One of my colleagues asked for password, got a password. But ask for different access. Hey, I need this. You know, you can do the whole classic, you know, ask for help. Hey, can you help me do this? Or, you know, if you don't let me in here, I'll shoot your dog. You know, whatever you need to do, you know, ask for it and play it up and around. It's fine. But do that. And hopefully, sometimes you ask for different access that they don't have, they'll hand you off. And it's in those handoffs that you can really play with it. The last one is consider whether to change your story or not change your story. This is solely dependent on the situation that you're in. If you don't change your story, you have people that can back your story. Hey, what did he tell you? Oh, he said this, that's fine. Cool. And you're building up an entire foundation of knowledge base and trust. And that makes it easy. It's also easier for you to remember your lies. Every lie you say has to be a truth that you maintain it, right? If you're doing a quick con, cool, it's fine. People can catch you, doesn't really matter. You don't have to remember it. If you're doing a long con, you're definitely going to have to remember it. If you do switch it around, you get a lot of advantages. I went in with the idea I'm going to look at server sprinklers. Maybe I have to sneak a rubber ducky around or something like that. But I remember that they didn't give information, so there was a vulnerability. I said, you know what, I'm here to look at the servers. I changed my story and it got me immediate access. But if she had gone back and said it the other day or the next day, hey, that guy updated your servers, and like, no, he was a sprinkler investigator. I'm now caught, right? So you got to play. You're dealing with humans. There are no right answers in there. There's a whole lot of stuff in your grab bag that you adapt and overcome in the specific situation. Play it off. But these are your options. You can kind of have fun with those. All right, defenders. Because I wouldn't be a good person if I didn't tell you how to stop this or something like that. The big thing about defense is there is no defense. I'm sorry, you're screwed. Just give me your money. Okay, next. No. So the big thing with defense is, it's just like any con. That's why I like talks like Snow's, like look at the classic cons. Information security is older than computers. Let that sink in. There's a lot of people that they're IT. We come in IT because right now that's where the info is, right? What's one of the biggest breaches that I can think of in the 20th century? COINTELPRO is one that comes to mind for me. It's where individual citizens broke into the FBI and huge data breach, dumped all of their docs. The docs were in file cabinets, but they got them out and it was able to expose lots of sensitive information and operations, right? I know we like the term social engineer. It's fresh. And so you're going to go out and you're going to get books of how to be a social engineer. Some wonderful ones have been written, like Chris Hagnacki, et cetera, and utilize those. Those are directly applied. But then go into the other ones of how to con, how to do a heist. You know where an amazing way that you can learn how to fish is? Email marketing. Go to your local community college and audit some communications classes. They will teach you how do you get a person to view an email, how do you get a person to open an email, to download a flyer, how do you get them to click on the link, how do you track links. That's phishing. The only difference between marketing and con artistry is intent. Oh, no, we're both trying to get money. Is legality. That's it. You're still lying to them. You just say, we believe this as opposed to something that's going to get you caught in fraud. So look outside of all of that. So key points. The big thing is, did they call you or did you call them? On everything. Whitney talked about the idea of what would stop her, and it's like, hold on, let me call you back at your number. I can spoof a phone number. I can't make it unless I hijack the entire thing for it to come back, right? If I send an email with a spoofed address, it's not getting back to me. If I hack into an email account, it will get back to me, but they're also going to see it as well, so it kind of plays off it. But did they call you or did you call them? If they did call you, and it sounds suspicious, like my bank's like, hey, we got an issue, that's a legitimate thing to do. They chum the water, right? And so you're like, hold on real quick, I'll give you a call back. What's your information, et cetera. One interesting thing with the idea of letters of permission, I do like to use a second one, okay? And the reason why I do that is it's literally the same letter. On mine, I have contact numbers back to my colleagues. And they're like, yeah, he's authorized, let him do whatever. On the real one, it has the real number, but they should not be relying on my number. They say, hey, I need a security. They should go into their system and call up. And that's the thing. At the end, they should be, I don't trust you. And you're like, good. You find out who would authorize this and call your boss. And that's how I get out of being arrested. But it's just a play. I'm not saying right or wrong on either way. But the idea is you call their number. You have a credit card. You call the number on your credit card, not the one they gave to you, right? It's just common kind of things like that. Running up the chain. Do you have authority? Probably not on a lot of this thing. If someone said, hey, I need to look at your sprinklers, like, I don't have anything to do with sprinklers. I'm not going to walk you around. I don't have time for this. For your own laziness and, there's another term for laziness, efficiency. For your own efficiency, hand it off to your boss. I don't like them anyways. You can deal with it. Keep it going up the chain. I was able to break in with a colleague to multiple places in Italy and France, and all of them let me in, except for one place that said, hold on, let me call my boss. They didn't know it. It ran on up. And we kept trying to do it. He goes, just wait. And he was very firm and polite. And at the end, they said, no, he doesn't have authorization. Have them call this authority figure and come back the next day. And at the end, we told him, you're the only one who passed the test, thinking he'd be happy. He was fucking pissed. He goes, you just told me you were going to update my systems right before the holidays? I need that to happen. And who goes around lying to people? It's Christmas. He goes, I believed you. But listen to that. He fell for my con. He fell for my con hook, line, and sinker. And he was eager to let me get access to his computers. But he had policy and procedure that prevented that happening. You don't need your users to detect attacks. You need to know the very few things that they need to do right. So running up the chain. If you are in authority, is this your decision to make? Maybe it's like, yeah, I'm the manager, but this is a building facilities kind of thing. You know, move it around. So if it's at some point where you are the one to make this decision, it goes in the next one, or I'm just going to skip to it. Don't be afraid to say no. This guy's like, I need to do this. You don't have a warrant, you know, and you don't have a gun pointed to my face. Don't tell them that. They might pull a gun. Don't escalate the situation necessarily, but tell them no. No, I'm sorry. Go call this other person. Or no. And they're like, hey, you're running out of date. Hey, I wasn't notified about that. Again, this is a sales technique, right? You know, it's like, hey, if you act now, then I'm cutting off $200. You're making shit up on the spot, son. If it's an emergency, or unless it's an emergency, it can wait. But is it really an emergency? I mean, if the person is, if the person, I'm used to not having mics, I'm used to yelling, but we need this to be recorded. You know, if the person's bleeding out right there, then by all means. If it's a con, okay, we're going to get a con, I'm going to stop the bleeding, right? But generally, it's not an emergency, ever. If it is, then act like an emergency and get through it and deal with the consequences afterwards. But generally, it's not. So the last thing, though, is independently validate. Most things are legitimate, right? Most interactions are good interactions. You get into social engineering, and you tend to get paranoid, right? Most things are good. Trust but verify. Okay, real quick, and I'll post this up on Twitter afterwards. There are some studies, so trust at zero acquaintance, more of a matter of respect than expectation reward. This is the idea of trusting people you don't know. This is how you get the foothold. That's some background. There's a neat little book called Introduction to Cyber Warfare in Chapter 9, Losing Trust in Your Friends, Social Network Exploitation. That's what we're talking about with transitive trust. That's very practiced as well. Full disclosure, I haven't read any of these. I just Googled them this morning, and it seemed close enough, so let me know what you think of it. This background art, I like Outrun and Cyberpunk and all that kind of stuff. That's Haluk Aliyev. I did not ask for permission. Hopefully he doesn't sue. All right, so with that in mind, how much time do we have? 10 minutes? Okay. We're all just kids playing with. Thank you for doing that. I can take about, I don't know, one question, two questions maybe, and then I'll do one last story. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir. God damn it, everybody's asking me about that. So he asked the question, that one time that you walked out with a domain control. In this sense, I plugged in. I didn't need to steal it, right? He's referring to, I did a Twitter thread. A lot of times when I do Twitter threads, like sometimes it's, hey, here's what I did and let's learn from it and have a discussion. A lot of times you get like hypersensitive nerds, because we're all nerds, who are like, no, why didn't you do this? You should have done this. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. We'll try that next time. You are right. But a lot of times, you know, you can think and you can sandbox off of it. But a lot of times, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know how to hack into computers or lie to people. And so I'll be in a situation where I'm dealing with right now, and I crowdsource that. I go, hey guys, this happened. What do I do? And everyone's like, try this, try that. I'm like, okay, I am. You know, right? You know, there's Google, and then there's like Twitter, the hive mind. And so what it was I had stolen physically. I grabbed the domain controller, and it turned off. And I'm like, okay, I'm used to hacking into a domain controller when it's turned on. You know, and querying it, right? But I don't know what the fuck to do with frickin' hard drives, right? You know, so I'm not DFIR, I'm not digital forensics. And so I asked for help to be able to pull off the ntds.dit, which is all the usernames and hashes, crack them, get all the information from it, from this physical device. But I left out how I got it because it wasn't really that important. I don't care how I got it. I have it now. Let's focus on what's here. You know, you work closest to the money. That's in the past. We're here now. But people keep asking me like this. It's a letdown. It's a complete. It's anticlimactic. I just spoke with on Purple Sec Squad, and I explained it there too. He should be dropping that tomorrow. I walked into a lobby. I looked around. Here's a lobby. There's a hall. I walked down the hall. And so during this authorized penetration test, I walked down the hallway and I noticed the door open because, I don't know, I'm a voyeur. And so I'm like, hey, what's going on in here? You know? And it was a server room. I'm like, oh! Well, I walked into the server room and I looked at the, you know, it's rack servers. So these are servers that slide into this like cage kind of thing. Cage is open, but they're in there. They're big. You have 2U, which is 2 units. They're about that big. It's like 3 fingers of whiskey. And 4 units is probably 2 hands. You're getting drunk. On the little label was like local schema of something, DC 01, and the one below it was local something DC02, which tells me that they're running domain controllers, which is the hub of the entire network, right here in this room. I'm like, I feel honored. Since they had DC02, that means that there's probably redundancy, so it doesn't matter if I take one. They got one working already, right? Shit propagates across the network. There is transitive trust in the network. Oh my God, it all comes together. And so I went around the back. I could have just jacked the individual hard drives out, hoping they're in like RAID 0 or something, and recreated in my own special laboratory or whatever. I don't have time for that. I unplugged that shit, unscrewed it, slid it right out. That's heavy. My back is not good. Hoorah, Marine Corps. I said that, I was like, popping underneath the arm is hard. That's a joke. Twitter, we joke, and nobody gets that it's a joke. I huffed that thing out. They're tiny little frickin' handles. I'm like, my fingers! And so I was walking out the frickin' hallway, and I looked right at some guy, and he just kind of looks at me, and I'm like, I don't know. He looked at us, and I don't know what he's doing, but that's funny, and goes back to what he's doing, and I walked out the street. I still have it. I should probably give it to them. All right, so that's that question. Real quick, let's talk afterwards. I'm going to be here tonight, networking. Let's exchange stories then. I do like giving a lot of ideas. I'll give you a lot of bad ideas, and then you'll go do them and learn why they're bad, and then you become better for it. That's how I give back to the community. I do want to bring someone up. Snow, you're really good at this, and I wanted to get, you're good in general about social engineering. Could you come up here real quick and just give a quick story? You got about 5 minutes or so. Have you ever used this? I don't know if you have. I'll buy you a beer. Okay.
All right. Motherfucker.
Hold on. How many per person? I'll get you 2.
Okay. I got 2 beers tonight. Watch out. All right. I'm telling you all a story. So, Tinker said something I thought was really funny about walking into a bathroom. And that's something that I actually utilize too. So when I do physical security assessments, this is getting really weird. Okay, all right, okay. So when I do physical security assessments, there is a difference between those and red team engagements. Red team engagements is you're trying to get on site undetected, and you pretty much have one goal of not being caught and typically dropping some type of device on the network. So that was the goal for this assessment. I got on site, I got into a bathroom stall. My mentor, JC, has now coined this term, the stall, where you go and you just hang out in a stall and wait for everyone to leave so the building's empty. So I hang out forever, and I have the device I'm dropping. So I go and I plug it in, and I'm calling my guys who are doing the red team, like, hey, did it connect? No, it didn't. Fuck. All right, so I go somewhere else. I'm trying like different places in this building to... I'm going to continue my story, but Tinker sank, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm going to continue since we have 2 seconds. All right, so I'm plugging it into the network, and I finally find an office, plug it into, and it works. Hell yes. The second I leave the office, I physically bump into a security guard. I've never bumped into one before, but we collided, and it was really cool because it's weird. But I had a vendor badge on because I found one on my way up to the bathroom. So he looked at it, he's like, all right, cool, and he let me go. But the problem was when I was trying to fucking leave, there was a skunk right outside the door. I've never been like wanting to not break out of the building before. It was really weird, but I had to wait like 20 minutes for the skunk to leave. All right, that was my story.